Hey, welcome back to another minisode here on the Kay and Shai Show.
So glad you're with us, family. And you are, I feel like we're gathered around the campfire, going to have some story time. We were just discussing, what stories do you want to share? And as we were reviewing the embarrassing list of all of our lessons and learnings, I'm not so sure I want to share all these.
Oh, come on now. If you're hearing all this culture talk and want to be a part of a thriving, growing culture, we want to invite you to be a part of Squeeze In.
Squeeze In Franchising offers you the chance to bring a culture and a vibe like Squeeze In to your community. You can make money, you can get time freedom for you and your family. We would love to have you as part of our Squeeze In family.
Join us in the ownership team and go to squeezein.com/franchising.
You're enjoying this episode on Angel Phoenix Productions Podcast Network. To explore a complete lineup of quality programs and media production services, head on over to angelphoenix.com or like our Facebook page at facebook.com/Angel Phoenix Productions.
One of the reflections that we had was that, look, we got into leadership when we were kids. And so growing up in leadership positions means that you're going to make a lot of really dumb mistakes that when you get a little bit of perspective, you look back on, you're like, ooh, probably could have done that better.
One of the things somebody told me early on in my management and leadership career was you learn your leadership lessons on the backs of other people. And I didn't really appreciate the gravity of that statement or what it even really meant at first. Like, yeah. But then there's been people, right? Like we've had 20 years of leading and there's been people and instances along the way that didn't go great and that we wish could go different, or that we lost our cool, or that we said the wrong thing, or we made emotional decisions. But all of those are, when you're a leader, all of those, A, reflect on your leadership, B, feed into the culture in your organization. We're going to get into culture next week. And C, end up defining and developing you as a character. And you don't always love what comes back to you. And so as time has gone on, I've really come to appreciate that phrase of you learn your leadership lessons on the backs of other people. And that doesn't always feel great for those whose backs you're on.
Yeah, it can actually hurt, and it can hurt you too.
Yeah.
Back in 2011, we were opening our third location of Squeeze In, and I was one of the opening managers of this third location, the assistant manager, and I could not figure out for the first few months, was there for probably about 4 or 5 months, and I just couldn't figure out why the team, right, the body was rejecting me as a leadership organ. Yes, like the team wouldn't follow me. They wouldn't do what I asked. They would roll their eyes when I was around. And so we actually moved me to a different location under a more mature leader. I went back to our second location. And one of the things that this leader asked me was, how often do you get down on your knees and scrub the bus tub container spaces, like the grossest spot in the restaurant? And I said, well, never. Come on. Like, I count the drawer at the end of the day and they do the sweeping and cleaning. And she said, the more that they see you on your knees cleaning the bus tub container, the more that they will listen to you. And this sparked within me, not just like this realization, but like a hunger to lead from the front instead of being the leader who sits back and points.
Oh, I love that visual. And I think that's such a powerful way to demonstrate just the difference in that push versus pull energy. And we talk about that in so many different ways. In marketing, we talk about push versus pull. I was talking about it in terms of parenting this morning with my husband, just in terms of push versus pull. And when we can be the leader that's helped pulling the team versus pushing the team, it's just an energetic signature that's completely different, and one that I'm so glad you got hooked on and started to develop. I know it's one that I started to develop as well through my management and leadership career and years in the Squeeze In, and haven't always done the best job and have sometimes done a good job. I remember there was a particular associate that was just volatile and I don't want to say poisonous, but there's sometimes those people who have outstayed their welcome. We've had this happen multiple times in our organization. They're sick of the business. They're sick of it, but they don't leave the job. You're sick of them, but you don't get rid of them. And you're just in that turmoil of not good employment. It can be really detrimental to let that fester. And We were at a business conference and we heard Tony Robbins say, you get what you tolerate. And it was just this aha moment for me of like, oh my gosh, we've been tolerating this mediocre environment for so long, and it's time to put a stop to it, even though it's going to hurt some friendships, even though there's going to be some rustling of the wagon as people get off. We should never make a decision because we don't like what the logistics look like and let that stop us if we like what's on the other side of the logistics. And just that moment of clarity, I know, is so powerful, but it was not easy to implement. And I am not proud to say I didn't do it in the very best way. And those are things that, you look back at night and sometimes your brain pops up that memory and you're like, don't do it. I've learned the lesson. Stop it. Go away. But we all have those. And I think it's important to recognize and honor those moments because they were part of your growth so that you can really be, I think, reverent about that position of leadership.
Well, we have certainly made a lot of mistakes when it comes to leadership. And we just wanted to highlight a couple of them here for you today so that you understand that leaders aren't perfect. Even the ones who are positionally placed by some power other than them, it seems they're not perfect. No one's perfect, right? And in that leadership position, we are here to tell you, you have permission to fail. You have permission to suck at it. Now, yes, do your mistakes hurt because they're involved with people you care about? Yes, they absolutely do. But that's how we go. That's how we grow. That's how we get better. And remember, most of our leadership decisions today, they certainly aren't life or death.
All right. We hope you enjoyed this personal share around the campfire tonight. We look forward to visiting with you again tomorrow on the next minisode.
This podcast was a production of Angel Phoenix Productions. Explore more episodes of this show or other great shows on the Angel Phoenix Podcast Network by visiting angelphoenix.com. The views expressed in this show do not necessarily represent those of Angel Phoenix Productions or its advertisers and may contain language that's unsuitable for younger listeners.